Hey everyone, and welcome to Godfoe Gaming. We are the gaming side of the Godfoe universe. Check out our parent channel in the link below for podcasts, short films, and more content coming. With that out of the way, let's jump into the video. The Riders of Rohan PRECON just dropped, and to me it looks very promising. The commander that they intend for it, Eowyn Shield Maiden, she's a 5/4 with first strike. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if another human entered the battlefield under your control this turn, create 2/2/2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste. Then if you control 6 or more humans, draw a card, and her ability isn't bad. I think it has potential for human token decks, and having first strike is great, but there's another card in here which I think would make a better commander, and that's what I built this upgrade around. But this upgrade will work for either commander. I made sure of that. I tried to play to both of their strengths while also trying to keep a little bit focused on, winning games. But the commander I would suggest, and he comes in this deck as part of the 99, is Aragorn, King of Gondor. He is a 1 colorless, blue, red, white, so a 4-drop, 4/4 with vigilance and lifelink. And his text is, when Aragorn, King of Gondor, enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. Now, Monarch is a cool ability. We don't see it too much, I think, in a lot of places, but basically, you can only become the Monarch. Initially, a player can only become the Monarch by a card allowing you to be. And what it does, it says, it has 2 abilities, Monarch does. It says, at the beginning of the Monarch's end step, that player draws a card, so you get an extra card. That's great. And the second part of that is whenever a creature deals damage to the Monarch, its controller becomes the Monarch. So it kind of passes around depending on who damages who. It's kind of like you're attacking the king and you become the king. But why that's important to this deck is because of his second text down here, which is, whenever Aragorn attacks, up to 1 target creature can't block this turn. Not bad, but if you keep going, it says, if you're the Monarch, creatures can't block this turn. Now that is a little insane because of a few things. One, like I said earlier, Monarch isn't a super prevalent ability, at least the control of it isn't. Now, like I said, anyone can become the Monarch by attacking a Monarch, but this precon comes with several cards that establish you as the Monarch, that let you become the Monarch. And we're going to keep all of those because you're going to want that, particularly if Aragorn, which I would suggest, is your commander. So let's get to the changes that we're actually making. Now, my thoughts going to this deck is, with Aragorn, if you're the Monarch and he attacks, opponents can't block you. So we need to build wide aggro. Now, we could go Voltron with this, and there's plenty of room to do this, but like I said, I built this upgrade to go with Aragorn or Eowyn. Now, building around Aragorn, you want to keep all the cards that let you be a Monarch, but you also want to be able to inflict as much damage as possible when you attack and you are the Monarch and your opponents can't block. So let's remove the cards that don't allow us to do that or just get in the way, starting with creatures. Fiend Hunter, Harsh Mentor, Humble Defector, Palace Jailer, Prince Imrahil the Fair, Riders of Rohan, Verge Rangers, Withered Wayfarer. Now, these cards aren't necessarily bad, they just don't help us with either of these builds, like with Aragorn or Eowyn. Now, it could be argued that Riders of Rohan, because whenever he enters, he creates 2/2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste, could be beneficial, but it's also 5 for that, and he has a dash ability for 6, and I'm trying to keep the mana curve down a little bit, but he's the only one I would consider leaving in. So, who are we replacing them with? Well, first of all, Adeline Resplendent Cathar, because every time she attacks, she can create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking, so she's always getting someone out. She's also a 3-drop with vigilance, and she's much cheaper now, especially certain prints of her, than she ever has been. So she's got to go in there. She's a human knight, so she adds to the human effect of it, and she's just magnificent in basically any deck. Handweir Garrison, another one that whenever he attacks, he actually creates 2 1/1 red human creature tokens tapped and attacking. So another 3-drop, a 2/3, low, get them out, keep going. Honored Crop Captain, this is from some of the Boros Legion, and whenever she attacks, other attacking creatures get +1/+0, so that buffs everybody that we're putting out. Silverblade Paladin, a 3-drop 2/2 with Soul Bond, which lets you pair them with any other unpaired creature when either of those creatures enter the battlefield, and as long as Silverblade Paladin is paired with another creature, both creatures have double strike. Now, this is a reoccurring theme in this deck that I put in here, and that is double strike, because if your opponents can't block you and you're getting through, you need to make it hurt. And even if you're not the Monarch for a turn for some reason, you still need to hurt your opponents, and you want to become the Monarch, and if you're going to do it by attacking them on a turn, make it hurt. So, Tajik, Blade of the Legion. He's a 4-drop, and he is indestructible, which is great. He's a 2/2, and whenever him and at least 2 other creatures attack, he gets +5/+5 until end of turn, so it never hurts to have an indestructible out. And you're going to be attacking with other creatures, many other creatures, because we're creating tokens, creating humans, and getting them out, and swinging. And if this guy can hit for 7/7, your opponents can't block, and we give him double strike, you're hitting for 14. That's ridiculous. Tori Davenet, Fury Rider. She's a 4-drop, 3/3 with Vigilance and Trample. Whenever she attacks, all other attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Now, going with that, other red attacking creatures you control gain Trample until end of turn, and untap each other white attacking creature you control. Most of your creatures that attack fall within either both of those colors or one of those colors, so you're getting like basically Vigilance and Trample. Trample is great in any deck, but especially in this one, if you need to become the Monarch again and you don't have a card that allows you and you're hitting the Monarch, you need to be able to get through even if your commander is not playing the way you need to be or he's removed. Victory's Envoy is a human cleric, a 5-drop, and at the beginning she has a 3/3, and she says at the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. All this does is buff your creatures every turn. That is insane. That is crazy. And it just happens at your upkeep. And she also kind of draws fire away from your commander because you put her on the field, your opponents want her gone. Next up is Blade Historian. Attacking creatures you control have double strike. There is no reason to not put this in your deck. Finishing up the creatures we're adding is Goro, Disciple of Reusi. Now, he's not a human, but he is a 2-drop, and he has the ability to give all of our creatures haste, and you are going to want that when you're dropping dudes out, especially some of these guys that are kill on sight or attempted to kill on sight, like Adeline. You want them to have haste so you can create tokens, get guys out, and swing and hit. Now, for the spells, enchantments, and artifacts we're taking out, we're going to remove Earthquake, Sunset Revelry, Supreme Verdict, Lost to Legend, Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, Crown of Gondor, Heirloom Blade, Vanishing Light, Court of Ire, Fealty to the Realm, and Marshal's Anthem. Now, again, these aren't necessarily bad cards, they just don't help with this theme of aggro, wide aggro, hit hard, fast. And I'm emphasizing that because both of these commanders are built for this. And in Commander, the format, really fast, hard-hitting aggro is really hard to counter, even for the best controlled decks, especially when you can just keep piling on people, getting guys out, and hitting very hard. And Aragorn lets you do that, and Eowyn, in her own way, lets you do that by getting multiple people out. So, what are we replacing them with? For instance, in sorceries, we're going to go with Lorraine's Escape. Target artifact or creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Scry 1. That is for protecting our commander, or in a pinch, a big hitter that we have going out. For card draw, we have Seize the Spoils. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and create a treasure token. That gives us card draw, and it gives us mana. It's a wonderful card all around. We also have Thrill of Possibility. It's a 2-drop. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. Continuing with the theme I was talking about, Timur Battle Rage. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn, and has the ability Ferocious. That creature also gains trample until end of turn if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Like again, that makes up for if our commander is not out or we are not the monarch. With that, we have Uncaged Fury. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains double strike until end of turn. And Unleash Fury, double the power of target creature until end of turn. Now, I might be mistaken, but you may be able to play both of those together. Play Unleash Fury, you double the power of target creature, and then you drop a 1/1 and double strike on it. That is crazy, particularly if that is our commander Aragorn. You double his powers, he's like an 8, and then you give him +1/+1, so it's a 9, then he gets double strike. That's 18 commander damage. That is crazy. Blackblade Reforged helps with this, and thematically as well, because Aragorn's sword famously had to be reforged from his ancestor Isildur, who broke it upon Sauron's hand. It's a 2-drop equipped creature, gets +1/+1 for each land you control. This card has won me many games in Voltrons. It equips 7, but if you equip it to a legendary creature, we have a lot of legendary creatures in this deck, especially our commander Aragorn, or if you want to put it on Eowyn if she is your commander, it equips for 3. So it is 2 to drop, 3 to equip for what could possibly be, +5 to +10, depending on how many lands you have, and that only increases based on land drop. And finally, our enchantments. Duelist Heritage. Whenever one or more creatures attack, you may have target attacking creature gain double strike until end of turn. Again, double strike, get it out, hit hard. Felidar Retreat. I just kind of look at it as a cheap Cathar's Crusade, to say, kind of. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, choose 1. I would suggest you put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. Think about this. That also means that they can be blockers for if someone tries to attack and take Monarch from you. You have vigilance. You can prevent that. Flaming Fist, again, commander creatures you own have, whenever this creature attacks, it gains double strike until end of turn. That is specifically for Aragorn or Eowyn. And finally, Rage Reflection, creatures you control have double strike. Am I making the point of this deck clear? Get creatures out, go wide, particularly if you're playing Eowyn, go wide and hit hard. If you're playing Aragorn, still you can get creatures out, make them unblockable really easily with a card you drop Monarch, and bam, you have multiple ways to give them double strike. You hit hard, you hit fast. Even the most bluest of control decks will have trouble with this. I'm glad I was able to present this $25 upgrade to the Riders of Rohan PRECON. I think it is an absolutely magnificent PRECON. I think it has a ton of potential, and if you have any ideas and suggestions yourselves, please leave a comment below. I would love to hear about them. I would love to know what you guys think of this, and keep a lookout for what we're doing next. We're going to be doing a lot more of this. We'll be doing game reviews. In fact, we're making a game, as I mentioned earlier, and we'll have news for that. We'll be doing a lot more of deck builds, upgrades, and deck techs and that kind of stuff, and some games playing Magic ourselves. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Subscribe, and check out our parent channel in the link below as well. Check out our website, godfouniverse.com. There's some cool stuff for you guys to read on there. We're making a comic book that's coming out in a few months, and just join our mailing list on there and get some free cool stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.